Hi, Ryan Dotson here with SurvivalSullivan.com. Today we're going to talk a little bit about dressing for hunting in various different types of weather. That might seem like a relatively simple subject, but it can get pretty complicated. If you've ever been out on a deer stand before, 20 degrees and the wind is whipping, and you didn't bring the right clothing, you know that making a mistake with this type of preparation can be very, very painful. In addition, you want to keep in mind that when you're hunting, things can happen. It's not uncommon for hunters to get lost and to have to spend the night out in the woods. And so you want to have the right clothing with you to where if you end up in a survival situation, you're going to be able to survive. At the same time, you also probably know if you've ever gotten a deer before that as soon as you get that deer and you start cleaning it and gutting it and dragging it through the woods, you're going to get very hot very quickly. And so you need to have layers to be able to remove and keep from sweating through all your clothing. There's a few basic principles that I want to talk about before we get into specifics. One of them is just the principle of insulation. Okay, insulation is designed to hold pockets of air close to your body so that your body heat can warm up that air and allow you to stay warmer. So, you see a lot of people, they will dress in layers or not dress in layers, but prepare to go out in the middle of the winter, and all of their clothing is fairly tight, and that does not work. You want loose fitting layers of clothing. I typically buy everything about 2 sizes too large. And when I say everything, I mean everything. I mean my gloves, my boots, my hats. I like everything to be especially large so that I know I have plenty of pockets of air in between the layers so that I can stay warmer. This is another reason why, just an example, why mittens will actually keep your hands warmer than gloves is because gloves isolate your fingers, and so there's really no pocket of air for you to warm up there because it's so close to the skin. Whereas with mittens, you've got this pocket of air with all of your fingers together so that they can warm up that air in there and keep your hands warmer. The other thing that you want to look for when you're purchasing any type of winter clothing or gear is grams of Thinsulate. Thinsulate is a modern insulating material that's used in just about everything these days, and how many grams of Thinsulate that you have determines how warm you're going to stay. It's important that you have a standard unit of measure to be able to compare all of these different products because, for example, when it comes to hunting boots, you can spend $40 on hunting boots at a big box store, or you can spend $400 on hunting boots, depending on exactly what you're looking to get. And so for you to get the most bang for your buck, you really have to be able to compare them based on grams of Thinsulate. Now, not all advertisements are going to have that listed. So you may have to inquire to the manufacturer to find out how many grams of Thinsulate a particular product has. Because it is very important that you know that before you make a purchase. So those are two things to keep in mind as you're looking at all this. Also, it's good to read the product reviews in terms of durability and how warm these products will actually keep you. You can use somebody else's experience. That's always a good idea. Now, in terms of actual products, the first one I want to talk about is your hunting boots. Now, you'll notice I've replaced the laces on this with orange paracord just for survival purposes, but these boots are absolutely awesome. I purchased these a few years ago. They have a lot of Thinsulate in them, and I bought them 2 sizes too big, and they actually work great for me during the winter and the summer when I'm hunting. So have a lot of ankle support, a really high ankle up here, an aggressive tread pattern so that I'm not going to slip on ice or rocks or anything. So I probably spent more on my hunting boots than any other piece of hunting clothing or gear that I have other than my weapons themselves. It's a very, very important investment, so take the time to get the right boots. Now, in terms of gloves and mittens, you can see I'm wearing tactical gloves. I wear these on all of my survival challenges, and I also wear them when I'm hunting just to cover up my hands. You don't want the color of your hands to be exposed when you're out trying to raise a gun up or something like that. But I also like these because, this allows my fingers to be exposed so that I can pull a trigger if I need to or do any type of work without a whole lot of effort. But it does keep my hands protected and keep them somewhat warm. In addition, though, I can actually, this is my big leather mitten that I use, I can actually fit my hand inside the mitten with my tactical gloves on. So now my hand is even warmer, and I can have that rested here as I'm sitting in my tree stand and not freezing my hands off. And then if I happen to see movement, I can very quickly just pull my hand out and do what I need to do as far as raising my gun and all of that. So good pair of mittens is definitely a good investment. These are leather, and these are probably 3 sizes too big, but I did that intentionally so that I could wear a glove and fit my hand inside as well. In terms of, coveralls versus overalls, it's a personal preference, but you probably should have one or the other. I have some really thick insulated coveralls that I use. The material, it's thick enough that you don't get any burrs or anything on there as you're tromping through tall grasses and fields. So I absolutely love that. If you can find a material that's not going to pick up burrs, that's going to be really helpful for you. And I can wear these in just about any kind of weather without getting too hot because most of my core is still exposed. In addition to that, you want to have multiple layers of clothing. So you're going to want to have a base layer, which is going to be insulated underwear typically. And then on top of that, you're going to want a few additional layers, whether that be, sweatpants or sweatshirt or jeans or whatever you're comfortable with. But again, make it loose layers and layer more than you think you're going to need, because you can always take it off, but you can't go home and get it if you decide to leave it at home. Just layer up as much as you can and then take those layers off as you need to. I also like to take a backpack with me so that I can put any layers that I've stripped off back into my backpack. The other point that I want to make is having a good hat is very important. You can always put like a camo head net over a hat if it's not camouflage, but having a warm hat is more important than having that camouflage. And this particular hat has a lot of thin slit. It gives you a really good pocket of air up around the top here. It covers your ears. I've used this in temperatures well below 0, and I've had absolutely no issues. So take the time to make sure that you have a good hat. I mean, it really comes down to your extremities. You want to protect your head, you want to protect your hands, you want to protect your feet, and then, of course, have plenty of loose-fitting layers for your core. I think that about covers it. Hopefully you'll be a little bit warmer when you go hunting the next time. And again, I appreciate you watching. This is Ryan Dotson with SurvivalSullivan.com. We'll catch you next time. Thanks.